ready.
Let's go.
All right, super excited to welcome you to a brand new episode of Shut Up and Thrive. My name is Brandon Styll, and I am so excited to introduce Debra Sunderland.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. You rock. We are so glad you're here.
I love that.
Yeah.
I didn't know the jingle. You should have told me the jingle before.
The Shut Up and Thrive.
Yes.
You know what?
I feel like we could do it together.
Let's do it
Let
again.
me.
Yes.
No. Let me tell you. At the end of the show, we're going to say, "We'll see you again next time on Shut Up and Thrive," and then you'll be in on the end.
Ready.
You can
I'm
totally
gonna
be
grab
in
the
on the
guitar.
end.
Let's go.
You just cracked the code. We want to see how intuitive people are, and at the end of the show, half the people jump in with us.
Yes.
And you'll be one of those people.
Yes.
The voice you're hearing is the amazing Sam Davis.
Woo!
What's up, Sam?
I am excited to be here with Debra. We enjoyed a lovely dinner.
Yes.
And we talked for like 4 hours, and everybody was so intrigued. It was so
Yeah,
great. That was lovely
was
that
lovely.
Paul and Marion Carp put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through Nashville wine auction.
Wine
Is
auction.
that right?
But supporting the Cancer Society.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
really
We
important.
weren't drinking just to drink.
Yeah, I do my best social work when it pertains around drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
So I just want to say I'm super excited to know more about Sam, and I'm glad that you all get to hear him. We were chit-chatting a bit before we got on today because Brandon, Sam, and I are very similar, and I'm sure you probably are as well. If you are a business leader, a business owner, you most likely have pushed yourself to win, pushed yourself to do to exhaustion, and unconsciously you might even believe that your worth is equal to how much you get done and how much you win at. And I know a lot of you know that I almost died racing my bike in 2013 thinking I'm going to win today. And I had no idea that a few moments later I'm going to be fighting for my life. It changed everything for me. And the reason that we do this podcast is the shut up part is to say, stop that lie that you are not worthy unless you achieve. You are feeding the wolf every time you give yourself temporary peace, temporary joy by succeeding and winning. That is not who you're called to be. You are more than winning. And it took me almost dying to find that out. And I love helping people win, but you are more than winning. And so I just want to celebrate all of you for joining us. All of you in podcast world, we send you a ton of love because you're worthy, because you have breath. End of story. Not because of what you do. So let's hear about Sam and his journey around achieving. I know that he's succeeded in so many things, how that's really supported him, but also maybe how it's not supported him.
Yeah,
so what would you like us to know?
And what is wild about this, if we had had this conversation like 2 years ago, I was fully believing and drinking my own Kool-Aid, and it is wild how times, can change, and I've always loved anthropology. And I really love psychology, but you can't a little closer. You said closer.
There you go, right there.
But you can't really study, anthropology without studying psychology. The two are like totally linked. And when you study people who are like crazy high achieving, I always made the excuse, well, they're pretty non-moderated human beings. And that may be accurate, but it doesn't mean you should necessarily be on that journey. And it's crazy that your podcast, because this is like literally the journey I've been on personally. So to just give you this very quickly, in the way that's not an hour of Sam Davis monologue. I grew up right here in Franklin. I went to Grassland Middle School.
As did I.
Yes.
Wow.
We're both generals.
Yes, indeed.
And rebels.
And a Franklin rebel. Very proud of that experience and had so many wonderful friends, just of many different socioeconomic backgrounds that we're still close with today. And it's crazy to me. Franklin's such a lucky community because there's still like 10 friends that if I called, bam, and these guys are still my ride or dies. And it is wild, even though we may not talk for a year, but just the rare mixture of that community was crazy. So I grew up a big wrestler, and wrestling is a sport where you have to be able to operate in the red. Whenever I meet a wrestler, they're always a little weird. They always have a little bit of intensity that's above the normal human being, but they know how to go in the red, and that's a happy place for them. And when I work out today at 47, I still do that. I don't know why, but I like to operate in the red. And I had met I was already a big kayaker. My stepdad, who I'll get to in this story, which is an amazing part of my story, he had got me into kayaking when I was, believe it or not, 5 years old. And the first time I got on the Hiwassee River there by the Ocoee in East Tennessee. And by the time I was 12, I was running rivers by myself. And by the time I was like 14, I was a pretty good little kayaker. Now, before YouTube, no one knew anything about technique. It was just, and my parents, like, I love them. I cannot believe what they let us do. We would leave on Friday afternoon, drive my Volvo 240 DL to like Boone, North Carolina, prone to overheat, by the way, sleep in the car. You can just hear the banjos playing. It's like straight out of Deliverance. Like, what were they doing? And then drive home. And but I just loved it a lot. I met a couple of guys getting ready for the 96 Olympics, the Atlanta Olympics on the Ocoee River. And of course, Brandon graduated in 97. I'm glad I didn't compete with you for women because I think you're an attractive dude. But here I'm 96er, and my parents took me to the Olympics. Now I was already 18, so I was old, relative to athletics. But I was like crying. I was totally drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, you could have put me in the front of Patton's army, and I was like ready to charge the Germans. Like, I was so fired up, and I spent the next 8 years training for the Olympics, like traveling the world. That's where I gained a great aprecio por español, like, because we lived in the mountains of Costa Rica with families. And it was just an amazing time of my life. And unfortunately, my stepfather contracted early onset Alzheimer's in 2000 at 49 years old. We were in Chattanooga.
Wow.
I'd driven from the mountains of North Carolina to have dinner with my mom and him. And he kept hitting. We were playing pool during the Music City Miracle. Do you remember that with Frank Wycheck?
Oh, I remember that. Kevin Dyson,
everything. And my stepdad, who was the first person in his family to go to college and a pharmacist, just a real black and white guy. He just saw the world in black and white. He kept hitting the other balls before he hit the white ball. And I'm like, so, I mean, I can still cry about it today. Like, mom gets home back to Grassland, back to Shenandoah Drive right there, right where she lives today in Battlewood. And I called her, and I'm like, Mom, we got to get Eddie checked out. And
take a minute.
No, it's fine.
No, it's my work. I would love for you to take a minute, because there's sadness coming up. And this is normal, guys. This is people we love and miss. It's a loss. And it will come up in unexpected times. And when we override it, we're not healing from it. So our emotions only last for 90 seconds at the most. So just allow it for a moment, take a breath, honor that you love him and you miss him.
Very true. And that disease ended up, shaping my family. My sister, who was his only biological, child, she was so young. And I remember she was at Grassland Middle, and I came home. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Came home to tell her. And I remember she was laying on the couch and the tears were rolling down the side of her nose, and it was just like, but truth be told, we had no idea how difficult that journey would be. And I think if we did in that moment, we would all be losing it. But luckily his decline was rapid. By 2006, he had passed. And after the Greece Olympics in 2004, where I was an Olympic alternate, I was a two-time national champion and Pan American champion going into that. And unfortunately, a small sport like kayaking, we only take one boat per category, and I was number 2. But it was clear to me that I needed to get back home. And of course, what was wild about that was I didn't take a kayak. I like a kayak this morning, Debra. You don't know that, but kayaking is still a huge part of my life. But I didn't kayak for 2 full years because I knew on the Ocoee I was like a god. People just watch me. And then I was working for the Bank of America, and I was like on the lowest man on the totem pole. It's like, well, where you're going to gravitate where you feel good and competent. And so it was really, even though Eddie's disease, it shaped our family in so many ways, it brought me home. And it really enabled me to give up kayaking in a way that I'm not sure that I could have given it up, because and of course I still paddle today, but as far as like the Olympic endeavor, and
so I hear you saying that I don't want to say the goodness, but the gift in some sense that you wouldn't have necessarily taken for yourself to not be so attached to this endeavor of winning in the Olympics. The gift was that, I'm checking in with you to see if this is what you're saying, is that your stepdad's journey and him passing had you step back a little bit and look at, what is important and what do I most want? And maybe even your significance, that attachment to winning and getting somewhere in the Olympics, maybe that was lessened a little bit. And I'm just making a story, I want to check in, like who you are, you're realizing that life, relationships is more important. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's, for me, I've always operated, and there's a great book from a guy named Terry Real that deals with like, grandeur and shame, and people who are high bordered and low bordered, and in the middle is a healthy human being. And I have always had a hard time hitting that target, and so I took one element, and this is the work I've done over the last couple of years on myself, because, I stood on this zenith of work, which we'll get to in a minute, and yet I still was not content. And that is what was it? Caesar wept when he realized there was no more lands to conquer. Well, why did he weep? Because his source of happiness did not come from himself.
That's
it didn't come. And for me, so this is wild that we're having this. I had no idea. And of course, we've only had one lovely evening together, which was wonderful. But I just took one element of grandeur, that was, being a fantastic wrestler in high school and kissing more girls than anybody who's ever gone through Franklin High School. Now, luckily, Franklin High at the time was a class of 475, so there was more gullible women to choose from who clearly didn't know how to discern a good guy from a bad guy. But
I was riding on that too, by the way, that they couldn't discern that because.
Oh boy!
Well, you seem like you're married so lovely, though. I mean, your wife was lovely.
She's not from here.
Okay,
she's from White House. She's from White House.
Okay. You had to import.
Had to import from it. She's a native though.
Still a Tennessean. Yeah.
So in any regard, and then obviously the pursuit of wanting to be an Olympian, and particularly having started so late, to think that you're going to do your first race in any endeavor 2 months before your 19th birthday, and then think you're going to, be the best in the world. You have to be a little insane and have a little bit of,
I so echo that. I echo the crazy of when you are addicted to winning, and it is an addiction. And the United States we are taught as a young age that the most important thing, whether teachers believe it or not, or parents believe it or not, and there's no blame or shame, is about winning, succeeding. And if we don't succeed, try again. And we learn that that's unintentionally, that is really important. And it's hard to let that go, I think, for many people. And we beat ourselves up, we're hard on ourselves. And that's, the same thing. It took me almost dying to realize winning is not it.
Yeah. You have these things in your life that occur, for me, mine has, recently been like the problems in my primary relationship, and for the longest time, I just created like this very convenient villain so that I didn't have to, you know what I mean? And it's wild, even people who you might consider to be intelligent, how our brains will play tricks on ourselves. Yeah. And it's the whole, and Brandon's laughing, like the whole idea, it's a really weird journey that we're on. But I took that one element of grandeur, and that's why I didn't take another kayak trip for 2 years, because I was like, okay, I started at the bottom, and I've never been afraid of the bottom. But I knew it was going to take something exceptional, to make that next leg. And so I was at B of A for 3 years, and my partner,
that's
Dave,
Bank of America.
Yeah,
everyone.
that's right. Mm-hmm. They're a great bank, wonderful bank. So you're supposed to only say nice things about your previous employers. But there's, anyway,
we want you to be real.
Well, for me, it was very proprietary. they paid for my CFP, and which was great, and I appreciate it. But it was at the time, I cannot speak to Bank of America because this was 20 years ago almost. The customer was not in the middle of their view, and for me, if you put the customer in anything you do in the middle of your view and you are obsessed with it in every single way, every intangible experience that they have interacting with your company and tangible one, you're going to crush it. Like if you can wrap your mind around it. And so when I met my partner through my second best friend. I ranked my best friends because, you got to compete, right? And my second best friend to this day introduced me to my partner who just opened up TBH. And I came over and we built a big business. I'm not going to lie. We built a big business, and we have done it without advertising, but just being absolutely obsessed with the customer. And, for me, I've loved it because most people can't think about intangible businesses the way they think about tangibles. Like here, this table, what qualities make it a better table than the price points and blah, blah, blah. But if you can conceptualize the customer experience with an intangible business, then the world is your oyster. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, that it was just a way that I could not deal with my stuff too. You know what I mean? I always thought, hey, look, if we,
say that again. Not facing my stuff. What right. say how you started to realize, because that's an awareness that you're not facing your stuff. Say more about that.
Yeah, man. Of course, I've done all the talking. I can't wait to, not. But thank you. I really feel like if this was camera, I'd do better because my face is so beautiful.
It is on camera.
Lush. Oh, good. Then they know that my hair is not lush.
I can see you.
Your hair is not lush. That's a funny one. That's funny.
So wave to everybody on YouTube right now.
Thank you for telling me. I have no idea. Isn't that illegal to be videoing somebody?
I thought you totally knew.
I had no idea. It looked like
That's our owl.
What's that? There's a MTV show named Lana, where Lana's watching everything. It's like a couples show where they get in trouble.
Now is MTV still on? I didn't even know that.
I don't have boys. They don't watch that stuff.
I have 3 daughters.
I can tell you all about everything in Fortnite and all this e-bikes and
no big deal.
No, I'm excited about Bachelor in Paradise. But that's a different story. That's a wife thing.
30 women competing for Brandon's affection.
That sounds like a nightmare. Nightmare.
The more you're a father, the more you just see things in liabilities.
Oh, that's right.
Like 30 women, 2 kids per women. The liabilities of that, you can't be Warren Buffett and pay for that.
Okay, but back to your avoidance. Are you avoiding your avoidance?
Yeah, exactly. Use humor to deflect. Right?
Exactly. Okay, but share about
She's
that.
like, I deal with somebody who's just like you all the time.
Yeah, that's what I said. You guys are the same. So tell me, just so we can learn from you, because when one learns, we all learn. So what is your learning around that?
Well, I think like it's a red flag when people start talking about either, how much growth they've had. Like that's a red flag for me. And in the spirit of that, the red flag should be going up for everybody who's hearing this. But, one of the things I've said recently is, I'm so unintelligent. I thought I was so intelligent. Here I've learned another language and I memorize poetry and I love to read and all of these grandiose things. Again, grandiose things. You win the lottery and then it wrecks your marriage or some other causality you can't even predict. And so for me, this journey for me has been one in which I've really started to reflect on everyone loves being around me. I'm tons of fun. You've seen that, like when the show's on and the dog and pony show, but it's like when you're in my innermost circle, like how intimate does that really feel? Like how authentic does that really feel? Like I would, 5 years ago, I would be with my girls and I'd be doing something with them active or something. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, hey, have I called, David Strange about that deal yet or whatever, And it was a distracted narrative.
So what I hear you say about that, first of all, appreciating you for noticing that you're with your girls, you want to be present to them, and yet your mind's thinking, I got to make sure this deal comes. And how do I do that? How do I make that happen? And that for everyone, guys, is our future thinker. And when we're in the future, we obviously aren't present to what's here. All of us have it. And then we start to get anxious around, if that's where the fearful mind goes, the unconscious mind, the future mind goes. And then we start thinking of like all the things that we can do to get that, and our security almost gets attached to that. And this is normal. That's where the ego comes in, the egoic pattern. And so the work is to flip it. So how did you start flipping it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how much I have, like I think the problem when you start, really on a path of self-reflection, there's a lot of discombobulation in there, where you're like, I've questioned everything about myself, and I see a lot of narcissistic tendencies, and you're like, that's a hard thing to say for someone,
Well, the ego is narcissistic.
Yeah,
we all have it.
Yeah, and just the fact that we're sitting here talking about
Speak for yourself.
Brandon the wise. Brandon
yeah.
the
Yeah. So it's a journey. It is a journey. So I just want to appreciate you. What I'm saying is, Sam, is that the opportunity to live differently, to be kind to ourselves, to show up for our family or the most important people is we got to notice, where are we? Are we present? Are we? And when we're not, so consciousness, guys, every 4 seconds we're not present. We'll be thinking we're present and we get distracted. We get distracted from the future or the past. And the work is noticing that. The work is, where am I? Where am I? And can I come back to just being here right now without judging ourselves? Because the ego wants to be like, see, you did it again.
Right,
see, and then it beats us up and we villainize ourselves or we villainize someone else. And so that's the work around shutting up that part that says, why are you doing this again for? And we want to the flip of that. We said the flip is, can I just appreciate myself that I notice? And can I love myself for just having part of my ego that's driving me? And that's not who I am. That is a thought that I have, and it's a pattern that I have, and I'm not my pattern.
Yeah, and you're so right. And even when we take more credit for losses that weren't ours, it's just another form of grandiosity.
Yes.
When you're trying to, carry a bigger burden or a bigger cross than you maybe deserved in the situation, or take more responsibility. How many times have y'all read in leadership cliche books like leaders take responsibilities, and you tell you it's always your fault? It's like, no, not necessarily. It's not literally necessarily all your fault. But it's all part of that grandiosity and shame that I have existed in.
Yes. And I think that, thank you for sharing that. And dear ones, I just want to appreciate these two men here.
I want to appreciate Brandon's face.
Yeah.
That is a good looking dude.
I mean, right back at you, man.
Let's just pause for a moment, guys, because two men right here are being vulnerable. And that is what leadership is about. Leadership is about being authentic and vulnerable. And we've got to be that way first towards ourselves instead of avoiding. We're talking about avoiding ourselves by how we think we should be as a male leader. Not feeling our feelings, being strong, being courageous. We're also people that cry. Or men are also people that get scared and sad. And you all need each other. Men need each other. We need you to be vulnerable. Women need you to be vulnerable, because that means we can trust you, whether it's in whatever kind of relationship. So I just want to appreciate you for being that man, for being those men.
Thank you, Debra. And thank you. I think some of it is, and before you came in, Brandon and I were talking about all the travels he's doing with his family. I think it's super important, particularly getting your kids in communal environments where there's not really the opportunity to achieve. Now, I think capitalism has pulled so many people out of poverty, and so many people are literally eating and have clean water that did not have it before in this world because of capitalism. So I'm a super pro-business guy, but I have to acknowledge that one of the things that we don't think about enough is everything, particularly with social media now, it cultivates towards wanting the most high achieving male. And so, men have this aspiration of being the top of that. And when they realize they're not, there's a lot of collateral damage that occurs. And for the men that are lucky enough to get there, they have far too much power in relationships. They have too much, the world is adorning them with too much things. And it's hard to stay tethered to like a true authentic reality. And so for me, while I think some of this is what society does. Like, I wanted to be exceptional, for a whole host of reasons, but I recognize that was the top of the food chain, was the highest achieving. And
yeah, I'm thankful you're sharing that as well, because you're bringing out these beautiful memories to my mind. Is no matter how much we have financially, meaning, and I'm speaking from experience, I don't know if you know this, but for 4.5 years, I coached the largest private wealth management firm in Illinois.
Oh.
And the 12 executives, and the CEO brought me in. And that man, wonderful, love him to pieces, yet he suffered in pain in his body because he was always worried about not having enough money. And he started this. He founded the largest private wealth management firm. I'm like, okay. And so, you guys, it means so we don't want to suffer, dear ones. This is a part of this lie that we believe. This lie. If you have fear, it is a lie. The ego is lying.
That is very true.
Don't listen. Shut it up. As soon as you notice, flip it. Tell yourself maybe the opposite. Breathe. Give yourself love. Meet the fear in you with love. We have to love ourselves. And the 3 questions that I ask, and they're mostly men because CEOs mostly are still men. And that's just, I played a lot in wealth. 1, do you believe you're enough? 2, do you believe right here, right now that you have enough? And 3, do you know how to love yourself?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Final answer.
Yeah.
Don't need to call a friend.
and
Yeah.
There it is.
No need to
I
phone a
love
friend.
the truth
So
there. It's
thank
good.
you. And I just want to say, this is the question I ask these men, and they all just the same thing. They all 3 no or no. And so I'm thankful because I want to support this shifting. Because if we can't answer yes to those 3 questions, we're leading relationships that aren't out of love. We're not driving a business and culture that's out of love. We're driving a business that's out of control and fear, scarcity. And when we are in scarcity, we do more of the same thing, expecting a different result. And we know Einstein says insanity.
Same thing.
Instant.
Yeah. Luckily, I had some old girlfriends that were willing to do that.
Well, I feel my answers to that question are sometimes, and sometimes. Sometimes I'm high up there and I'm feeling all the great feelings and everything's great. And then sometimes it's just, there's not a lot of balance there. I think that's the work of, it's not about highs and lows. It's about accepting yourself for who you are. And I'm reading this Byron Katie right now, and it's like, you have millions of thoughts. Your thoughts come and go all day long. It's what you believe about your thoughts and what you actually, how you put those thoughts into action that really matter. It's like just your thoughts and self. That's not you. Just allow them to come and go. And then it's interesting because my thoughts crush me sometimes. And that's that shut up part of it.
Yeah, it's the shut up part. Yeah. And it's the sooner we can notice. That's what I keep appreciating about noticing. It is your powerhouse. I'll say it over and over again, everyone, is noticing what you are telling yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I love that you do that work. Now, here's what I don't know, because I'm lucky enough to deal with a lot of very successful people, men and women. I deal with some women that crush it, really cool people. A lot of the women actually have a hard time, and we'll talk about this later, maybe finding a mate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do tons of super attractive, super successful, cool women that cannot find a mate, and it's very interesting. Men are intimidated by that. I don't want to go there yet, but I want to put that in there.
I'm doing something about that, actually.
Okay, cool. I like that. You got to talk about your love life next. I like it. Let's bring it out.
She's doing to help those women. It's never helping her.
Men.
It's always helping others.
It's not just women. It's men too. It's both that were. Yeah,
I feel like she's about to launch a matchmaker.
I am launching something, but it's not a matchmaker. It's about self-awareness for men and women. But anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Let's do that.
They might match people together at the same time. That's not the main part of it. It may happen.
I actually have a couple interesting ideas. We can talk afterwards. I have no bandwidth to open a business on all these ideas, but I think
yes, we need to talk then.
Yeah.
But I got all kinds of bandwidth over here.
Yeah, we're starting another business, guys. It is much needed.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. Here's what I don't know. So I deal with all these guys, and it's really interesting. I love how people they learn to value time the older they get, because they realize that's the only thing. Like you said, all these fears are fake. The time is real. But I'm just not sure they would have gotten here without it. And I'm not sure that I would have gotten here without it. And like, on one hand, all the shame and grandiosity and blah, blah, blah. But when somebody gets sick in my family, guess who's writing checks? You know what I mean? And it's great. Like I want to do that. I want, you know, like I want to give, but a lot of the reason I was giving before was all out of this realm of grandiosity again. Like, I mean, I keep my checks right side up in the church, you know what I mean? So maybe I even put a fold in the middle so it, you know, kind of keeps all the other checks that are off bay, you know? Like, but, you know, seriously, like even a lot of my giving has been done out of this like framework of Sam the benevolent, Sam the blah, blah, blah.
I haven't erased that check yet. It still sits right there. So everybody can see how much money we're giving away.
Go get that check. I'll take a picture of the two of you with it and we'll post it.
Brandon, that check is like a man who drives a truck too big for him. You know?
That's
you know, being a short man, like you're tall man, you're good looking. A short man can't just drive any car. Like he has to think about what the car means. Like Brandon here could drive a car that's all jacked up. Nobody's saying nothing because he's 6'7". Me, if I'm driving a big truck, they're like, he's just doing that because he's short. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if we care about,
I mean, I'm not gonna say that, but he's not wrong.
Okay, so I'm just curious, what car do you drive?
You know what is interesting, and another thing is I'm
F350 on 38s. What do you mean, man?
I drive a Lamborghini.
Dueled out.
I drive a Lamborghini. You know, there's nothing screams midlife crisis for a male like a nice sports car.
I can't fit it. Totally. I can't fit it in a Lamborghini. Thank God.
No, I drive a 4Runner, and I love it.
What is it called?
A Toyota.
Toyota 4Runner.
Oh, okay, got it. Oh, 4Runner.
Yes.
I love 4Runners.
It's a perfect car.
Yeah,
it's a good, not ostentatious, but still very
those.
nice.
Yeah, and it's also like a great outdoors car. And it is interesting because in my neighborhood, the median age of the 4Runner driver is 16 years old. You know, so it is very interesting. Yes,
really,
it is wild. I'm like, yeah, me. But you know what? I have been driving my 17-year-old daughter's 2015 Subaru because she really likes to drive my 2023 4Runner. And it is interesting. People treat me different in the Subaru. Like they don't wave and stuff. Like you can see how status. This is all what we're talking about. Like I wave at everybody in my neighborhood. So they won't wave at me in a Subaru.
Oh my gosh! At
me in my nice 4Runner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So isn't that funny, guys? Like we can go so deep around personas that the ego plays in our life, right? And how we look, what we drive, where we live, how much money we have, who we work for, blah, right?
Oh, I have a little truck. I have a little Ford Ranger. When I drive it, it's weird. It's like I'm like, this isn't my normal. I feel I feel different when I drive my truck. I drop my kids off school in the truck, and I'm like, parents are judging me. They're like, oh, this poor kid has to go to school in this old 99 Ford Ranger. Like,
isn't that funny? Like a little bit of our significance is attached to society, a little bit
society.
And
I'm just bringing your point home that happens for
everyone.
Wild story. So in 2011, I took 14 kids to Waco, Texas for a homeless experience. This is with the church and you had to live outside and you had to go ask for money. And all these kids were like NBA kids and Harpeth Hall and like Franklin High kids. And the next thing you know, you're asking for money. You had to go to Goodwill first and you had to pick out your outfit. I came out looking like a stone cold pimp. Waco, it was a bad move because Waco, Texas is so hot in the summertime. But if I came out, I was looked like I sold drugs. I was like, this is
I changed my name to Nipsey. It was awesome.
100%. You remember the Jefferson show, how he used to dance? I came out like that. Yes, just crushing it. And anyway, needless to say, 100-degree heat in polyester suit did not play well. And leather shoes that were about 2 sizes too big. But, you know, it was interesting because I'll tell you this, asking for money was very interesting for me because you can see how, like, I had to self-talk. I had to be like, no, this is not who, you know what I mean? Because people are treating you. You had to feel the shame that people feel when they ask for money, like the looks of judgment. And I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm not saying people shouldn't get a job. I'm not saying anything other than it was very empathetic experience for me, you know? And so on one hand, I know how I got here and all we're talking about, like, and you deal with, like you mentioned, I saw that, you know, Ginger Gildridge, wonderful person.
She's been on our show as well.
She's super hot. She is so hot. I mean, she always was in high school. Everybody had a crush on Ginger. She's so cool and fun.
She's a lovely person.
She is an amazing,
beautiful human being.
Amazing human being.
Yes.
And so lovely to have on the show. She's, you know,
Yeah.
she's one of those people that's just her brain, the way it works is just magical.
Yeah.
I could talk to her for hours.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
And she's got a grind in her. You know, I remember before she made it, I remember watching her sell. It was at Green Hills Wine. She was selling like shirts and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's how you go. You know, like I still am out front at least 3 or 4 hours a week at the front desk.
Real.
Yes.
Really?
Green Hills?
Yes. No, at my office. You
Oh, your
lead from the
office.
front. You lead from the front.
Yeah.
And for me, I just really have a lot of admiration for her. She's super cool.
She's super cool.
She's a good one. Yeah, you know, but all of society, I mean, I can see how guys like Brandon, who's super high achieving and good looking, obviously, you know, I see how, I mean, you can see how we get there because all of society, again, the extreme was Waco.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other extreme is this adornment that the 1%er males receive. Like, where are you going to naturally gravitate?
Yeah.
And the discombobulating thing is when you get there and you weep.
Yeah.
You get there and you're depressed.
Yes. And this is why I do what I do, because if I believe my life was spared to wake others up to theirs.
Wow. I love that.
And I always say my genius is seeing yours, because I'm just like everyone else around winning, achieving, and then you're not, right? And like knowing how I got myself out of that box, and still it creeps in, and being aware that it's creeping in. And like, as soon as I start to not feel peaceful, I'm noticing that wolf is trying to get me again.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can impact one person's life before I die, that's my goal every day. If I can impact and love people, love them, it's either fear or love we make our decisions from.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Loving and trusting what we can't see, loving and trusting that there is a loving God for everyone, whether you receive it or believe it or not. Or it's trying to do it yourself, control out of fear, and you get two very different feelings, behaviors to self and those in the world. And my want is companies start allowing love to be a word that is used in an organization, and that we practice that. And it has to come to, I love myself first. Because if I can't love myself first, those 3 questions you couldn't answer, if a leader cannot love themselves first, they can't love their team. And they're going to try and control their team. They're going to try and control the outcome. And that's just how it is. And that's the reality. That is the crux of it all. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple.
You know, it's crazy because we sit here, and I think we went to the same elementary school, same high school.
Everything.
If you think back to when you were like 20, right? And I don't know how happy you were, but if you look at everything that you have now and all of the things you're talking about, how you're successful, the house, the cars, whatever it is, am I any happier now? Because back then I go, man, if I made this much money, if I did this, that's all I would need. And then you get to a certain level and you're like, wait a minute, where's that happiness? I've just created a lot more problems. And I think the work that Debra's doing is so impactful, because it's like the happiness is there. You're just not allowing it for yourself. Your idea of I should be this or I should be that. It's like, you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly everything you need to be. And where do you find that joy? And that's the thing I'm seeking, is how do you be completely happy in yourself every day with all of where you currently are, versus constantly thinking, if I just did this, if I just did that. And it's like, we don't, that's great. But like, where are you okay? And that's why you talk about the CEO of this multi-billion-dollar hedge fund, or it's just completely unhappy. And it's like,
they're probably over $40 billion. I mean, they are a huge, you know, and so not, yes, it's, you know, and we don't know what the next moment brings.
I think my year of like kind of, you know, crisis was 2022. We got named Tennessee's fastest growing firm after being open for 15 years. We don't advertise, we don't buy any other companies. Like, we were competing against consolidators. Like marriage, it's a whole lot easier to marry into money than to make it yourself, right? You know, and And I still wasn't happy. And really, I was making everybody around me miserable. And, my counselor was David Goggins. If you know who that was, it's not real, but you know what I mean? That was my, just shut up and hurt more, like the purpose of life is pain, and I remember I had a staff member who's a lovely woman quit our company, and I love her literally. And she also has a high regard for me, but she was my assistant at the time. And she goes, I love TBH. I love everybody here, but I just can't work with Sam. And I remember my response to her was, I don't blame you. And at the time, my whole motto was basically like, there is some element where I still believe this, where it's got to be, if you're going to do something exceptional, it's got to be uncomfortable to be mediocre. But there is a point in life where I think it's okay to embrace an element of mediocrity if it means that the things that are needing to happen, and that you can be a more balanced individual, but there's no way Jeff Bezos is a balanced human being.
Well, I'd like to go deeper around that. So I would like to throw the word mediocrity out. And what I prefer to focus on is purpose and alignment. We either live the purpose we're called to, which is we're not called to succeed. We're called to be who we're made to be. And success will come from that. Abundance and love will come from that. And so most people don't live, they're living for something outside of themselves instead of living what lights them up, joy, peace. Most people are not peaceful. Most people aren't joyful. So the balance is, am I living a life of discomfort, or am I living one of more peace and joy and that two different energies? And am I making my decisions from those places? And I'm guessing your assistant left because you weren't living in a place of joy and love and trust and peace. You were living in one and control. Potentially,
yes.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that statement. And I think I still struggle with that, where it's like, and it's funny you mentioned, I do want to say something positive about me. I tell my like Gina is my assistant. She's 68. She's amazing. Gina Fincham, shout outs. I tell her I love her all the time. You know what I mean? I tell my staff directly that I love them individually, and I love them. And yeah, I think that it's just one of those things. It's like, I think realizing how miserable I was, I still have so much work to do.
We all do.
Yeah, but
we all do. We're never reach it.
You know what I never realized before? It's wild. Is like, I'm like, you spend all these time with the staff. It's like the most important thing within an ethical confine, within the framework of ethics, is to enjoy the people you're around.
That's right.
Like that is like the most important thing. Like,
absolutely.
enjoy their company.
I
Enjoy
love
who they
that.
are. Yeah. I would tell any leader, like, if you don't know your the kids' names, let's start there. Like, because your kids are pretty darn important to you.
Right.
And if you don't know your kids' names of your closest staff, what are you saying about how important they are to them?
And knowing what's important to them, and how can you support them in that? And I also think seeing as a leader, seeing the genius in your people. Are they thriving because they're living their on purpose life in work? Because we are struggling with people feeling lonely and engaged. And the only way that people can feel engaged is to do what lights them up. And so I think the most important role a CEO, a business owner could ever do is to see that in their people and put them in that role. Because people usually do what they have been trained to do, but it many times isn't what light them up. And I think if they want to grow their business and have joy and flourishing a company, is look and see how your people are doing. Does this bring them energy? And if not, talk about it. Talk about, hey, I noticed this about you. What's going on for you? Have real conversations with your people. That's loving them. That's encouraging them. Because if you are a leader and a business owner and you really check in with them, they're going to be like, wow, that person really cares about me, not just what I can get done.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think allowing people to breathe, like as a business owner, you're constantly just seeing money go out the door, so it's like so easy to have like this kind of like your family, anybody who's been like the primary breadwinner, you're like, gosh, what's my monthly nugget, and how do I make that work? I think allowing people just to, like, if you think throughout the tapestry of time, it's a lot easier to look in the past, but just go, hey, look, like this employee may have a bad year. They may have a whole bad year where they're dealing with something. And can you give them that grace? The hard thing is when they're a new employee, knowing whether this is just a part of their life or not.
It's interesting, just during this conversation, hearing no employees' children's names, you need to do that kind of stuff. And I have like almost 200 employees. So it's like, I'm sitting here thinking, I need to learn all their names. Like, it's like, it's a whole thing.
Leadership. Yeah, for sure. But at least leadership of them.
The way my brain works, I'm sitting here right now thinking, oh my God, it's another thing. I miss this. I have to, and I do know a lot of their, I feel engaged.
Where are you?
I'm below the line.
In fear.
In fear. But this is what I just, to be fully vulnerable. Like I'm sitting here thinking, I'm not good enough. Exactly. I have failed in this regard.
Like how quickly this happens.
This is I'm just saying this to demonstrate how fast even a good solid this is something that's really important. I'm sitting over here just judging the shit out of myself. That I know, how many of them do I know their name? Like I don't even know their names, some of them, because that's a lot of people. And I'm just going, okay, I could focus on that. I could change. What part do I play in a result I don't want? And but like my brain is spinning all these thoughts a million miles an hour while you're having this conversation. That's how quick it happens.
Absolutely. Every 4 seconds, the mind is going to go to defense, judgment, because it's trying to keep you safe. Somehow your mind's like, I got to keep Brandon safe. And it's going to like put this wall up. And then you're going to spiral down. It's normal. I'm so grateful that you're bringing this up. And if you were to bring in Byron Katie work right now, you guys, I just want to tout, if you have not read the book, Loving What Is by Byron, Byron Katie, Katie, please do.
Loving What Is.
Love it. She is the most, I've sat with her for 4 days.
It's good.
I sat with her for 4 days. It's also, I practice and teach and coach the 15 commandments of conscious leadership. The 10th commandment is Byron Katie's work. And it is about noticing your belief that is causing you to suffer and questioning it. The 4 questions and the turnarounds will change your life. So right here, right now.
Oh, I haven't done all I'm not done with the book. I'm like through chapter 3 and I'm confused, but these thoughts they're not real. They're just a thought. Yeah. And there's thoughts that are, some are good, some are not so good, but there's questions around these that you kind of have to flush it out and go, okay, so for me, that doesn't do it. I am a good leader. I'm really happy with how I am with my team. And I feel really connected to a lot of them. This is a small thought of something that go, that's another feather in that something I could focus on also, but it doesn't define me.
Yeah.
It's nothing about me.
So the Byron Katie work is checking the thought of what is that fearful thought that you just had that you started to like beat yourself up in. Oh my gosh, I'm not doing a good enough job with my people, potentially.
Yeah.
So when you believe that, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to fix this. And then we spiral down. So if you were to do Byron Katie work, which you can do, we're not going to do now, but another time, is to write it out. When I believe I am not doing a good enough job with my people, is it true that I'm not being right? That's
and then if it is true, you say no, then skip to step 3 and the whole thing.
Right. But you got to do it in meditative state. We'll do it. You guys will do a whole thing on just that. Let's just do a whole thing on Byron Katie work. But anyway, I'm thankful that you're sharing how quickly it is that you're like, oh my gosh, right? This is what we do. And that's why we're having this podcast. We got to flip what we are believing about ourselves, because that's the only thing we can change. We can only be the change that we want to see in the world. This is what this means. If we expect someone or something else in the world to give us peace and joy, good luck. It ain't going to ever happen. You are responsible and no one can take that away from you. Another book, Viktor Frankl.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Exactly. Read it if you haven't. Holocaust survivor.
Amazing book.
Yes.
A man who can suffer any.
That's
a
right.
Man who has a why can suffer anyhow.
That's right. Exactly. If you know yourself.
I think that's a Nietzsche quote. Original. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to start wrapping up. What is it that you most want us to know today? And we thank you for being here.
I'm a student, you know. I don't know that there's anything that I would say that I would want anyone to take away from any of this other than I hope it inspires them to go on a similar journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild that we had a chance to meet. I don't know how much I believe in destiny. I do believe in a destiny. I do believe in a God. And I always love it when I meet people who stimulate to me to think about the world in some way. And I love the work that you're doing because, we have processes, that you were doing 15 years ago that would still be applicable today, but we dropped them, right? Because you have to stay fresh. You have to continue to stimulate yourself. And I'm sure the work that you're doing for the clients, it's not the same work you're going to do 5 years from now. It wasn't the same work you did 5 years, but that doesn't invalidate the work from 5 years ago. It's keeping everything fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm going to concurrently learn to be softer while I acknowledge that I just finished my internship. Like I had somebody congratulate me this last week on all my success. I was like, professionally, I'm not talking about personal realms, but I'm like, no, I'm just getting started. Like this we're not even, this is not even the beginning of the end.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, this is the end of the beginning.
Yeah. It's like Michael Jordan,
mm-hmm.
right? Like it's, if we want to keep growing and learning, we keep showing up and we keep showing up and we keep showing up
mm-hmm.
for ourselves.
Yeah.
But is there also a side of that you could say thank you? Just say thank you and accept that you've done a good job and that I have done a good job. Thank you. Thank you for that. For you, just like for you in that moment, somebody's congratulating your success, to be able to accept that. That's just accept that and say, you know what? Thank you. It means a lot to me. I appreciate you saying that. Like, it's nice to have somebody say that and just accept it about yourself that, hey, look, I've done a lot of work and somebody's recognized me. Just say thank you.
Yeah,
and like, you don't have to go, no, I'm just getting started. Like, that's that thing telling you that you're not good enough again. Like, just go
an upper limit.
Yeah. I mean, to say, hey man, you know what? Thank you. And then take that for a second and feel it and go, that felt good. Somebody recognized
Thanks for seeing
all the hard work that I have been doing. In your mind, you can go, but man, when you see me in 5 years, you're going to go, man, I told you you're doing great. I had no idea what you were going to do, but just,
hopefully everybody comes up.
I'm terrible at that.
I love seeing, I agree with that. I don't do that enough. And I really appreciate you saying that. For me, I hit a major accomplishment. I know we got to go soon. 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm always talking too long. This has been great, by the way.
This is so awesome. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. I think we should. I think we should do it over like a power hour where you have to take a shot of beer every minute for 60 minutes. And just
I would
watch
not
our
do well.
cognitive abilities just continue to degrade.
We'd like the Joe Rogers. We just eat a bunch of mushrooms before we get in here and see what happens.
That sounds like avoidance to me right there.
I'll do non-alcoholic beer. Is that a thing?
I think pretty much anything you do every minute for 60 minutes is going to make you feel bad.
Hey, Brandon, is there anyone on the
We'll just get you started right now with
is
some
there anyone
tequila.
Does anyone have questions?
We have AC is here, and I've asked if he wants to ask any questions. There hasn't been any questions yet. I think people are just kind of enjoying this conversation. Tell me something we haven't talked about much, and this is going to be really fast. If you do financial advising,
that's right.
If we got people out there listening who have really enjoyed your conversation, love your cadence, and they're like, hey, I'd like to learn more about financial advising with Sam Davis. Give us like a 90-second. How do we get a hold of you? Is there an email? Is there a phone number? What do you do? Like,
you can Google Sam Davis Financial Advisor and I'll pop right up. We have an office in Brentwood. The name of our company is TBH. It comes from the Aesop fable, the tortoise beats the hare. Oh. And we handle every detail of people's financial plans. The average advisor doesn't know whether a family has a high deductible plan, whether they're HSA eligible. They don't know whether they're maxing out their IRAs. They don't know whether their estate plan matches their beneficiaries. They're on the golf course, and it's made our competition exceptionally easy to do very detailed and incredible work. And, for families that are at a point in their life and their career where they have their basic needs met and they're ready to start thinking about, okay, how do I replicate my income in retirement? How do I make sure that my money matches my legacy? These are the questions we answer for the families that we work with.
I love that. And so you just Google Sam Davis Financial Advisor.
TBH, in Brentwood, Tennessee, or Franklin, Tennessee, we pop right up.
TBHF.
And do you work anywhere outside of Tennessee?
I have clients in Africa. I got clients in Germany.
Just so people know, you don't
I deal with executives in Shanghai. We got tons of clients on the West Coast. You know, the bulk of my clients are here in Middle Tennessee because I have such an attractive face. People like to just come in and look at, you know. And
Clearly.
It's open room. Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, but your clients everywhere.
I love that. Okay, so we just want to appreciate you for being vulnerable. Yay!
Game on.
For
Go.
being on the journey of growth and knowing yourself. You are, guys, this is about knowing yourself, and this is what he's up to. And that is the most important thing, is knowing yourself and seeing yourself and loving yourself on the journey. Remember, you're not your patterns that you've developed in your whole life to keep yourself safe by whatever your stories have been that aren't serving you anymore. And breaking those stories, breaking those patterns when you love yourself right where you're at. That's how you break it. Love yourself and accept yourself that you're right where you need to be. There's nowhere to get to. You're here right now, and that is enough, because you're enough. You're welcome.
Sam Davis, thank you for joining us today. And we will see you next time on Shut Up and Thrive. Yeah, very nice.